talk a little bit about Mexico's drug cartels. They are run, obviously, by ruthless kingpins who stop at nothing to get drugs across the border, right? Well, some of the most vicious members we are now learning are actually women. Mexican officials say one of the worst is called La Bonita, or the pretty one. 27-year-old Anel Violeta Noriega Rios was arrested last week near Los Angeles and sent back to Mexico. Now, Mexican police say she's a top member of the La Familia cartel. Joining us from Washington, Josh Miller. He is a security expert. He lives in Mexico. He's also a former intelligence officer with the CIA. Josh, thanks for joining us here. First of all, tell us a little bit about La Bonita. What is her relation with La Familia cartel? What is her role?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Suzanne. La Bonita, it's interesting. She was recently arrested in Los Angeles, and she was promptly extradited back to Mexico, which indicates that the U.S. and Mexican authorities had closely cooperated on this operation. Her role, as we understand it, was to act as a liaison and a negotiator between cartel groups, and indeed she represented La Familia, which is primarily responsible for methamphetamine trafficking in the United States.
And Josh, I understand she was pretty tenacious. She was arrested in the U.S. She was repatriated to Mexico 5 different times between 2004 and 2005, a top priority for even Mexican police. How was it that she was able to live out in the open in L.A. for so long?
Well, it's pretty remarkable, and I think it's indicative of some of these cartels' attitudes. They tend to operate largely with the impression that they can operate with impunity, not just in Mexico, but unfortunately in parts of the U.S. And it's part of the culture, yeah.
And I didn't mean to interrupt there, but she's not the only one who allegedly is in one of these top positions in the cartels. It seems like it is a growing trend. Can you give us a little sense of what is behind this now that you have more women who are gaining power in these dangerous cartels?
Yeah, indeed. It is a trend that we're noticing more and more of. In fact, some statistics are quite telling. In 2008, 194 women were killed in criminal-related drug activities. Fast forward to 2011, and that number jumps to 904. And so you see a 5-fold increase in the women involved in these activities in just 3 years. So we're definitely seeing a growing trend all over Mexico.
Are they the ones who are involved in the most violent activity when you talk about what is taking place there, the beheadings and some of the brutal killings, or are they getting caught up in the violence themselves as victims?
It's a good question. We're not seeing indications that they're involved in some of the most heinous acts, some of the most outrageous things that are taking place in Mexico. Those seem to be still perpetrated largely by male members of the cartels. The roles that we're seeing them involved in is the liaison and negotiation between cartels, which indeed was La Bonita's role. We see them distributing, and we see them distributing resources and revenues between groups. And perhaps most importantly, we see them provide a measure of social cohesion, which these groups often operate as families in a sense.
You're a security expert. You know the situation in Mexico. We have heard figures up to 47,000 people killed in drug violence since 2006. Can you give us a sense of whether or not there are really safe places in Mexico, or if this is a very isolated place where this is taking place?
Yeah, I would just comment and say that Mexico is a very large country, and while indeed there are some areas, particularly along the northern border and in some other states that are indeed quite dangerous, Michoacan, the majority of Mexico City, where I live, and the majority of the major tourist areas are actually quite safe. And this is the reason behind this is because they often are not sitting in the geographic routes that these cartels prefer to use, as well as the Mexican government's interest in keeping these areas safe. And so, yeah, Mexico gets a lot of attention, a lot of negative attention. However, I think that there's large parts of the country that are quite safe and quite, good places to visit, such as they were in the past.
All right. Josh Miller, thank you very much.
So CNN admits to the the drug trafficking on the border. This happened in 2012, as it says right here. Here's the everything that you need to see. CNN. That's the channel, or the well, you see it. This is CNN's channel. See, CNN. And it was shot July 6th, 2012. Let's just read the caption. CNN's Suzanne, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, talks with security expert Josh Miller about the new role women are taking in the drug cartel. Now, they just said they talked about how dangerous the cartels were, and they were saying that this woman that they just arrested is responsible for most of the meth that's coming across the border. Um, this is the reason why, um, you know, I you shouldn't watch CNN as long as they keep up this propaganda. Now that Trump is in the office, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not. But um, to sit up there and lie about whether or not, um, knowing that the border is at a crisis, which they've reported on it before. Let's just go down and just read some of the comments. I'm just curious. La Bonita. What about Pinchafia? I don't understand. Maybe that is in Spanish. The feminists must be happy. Women can do anything men can do. LOL. Interesting. The cartels, Yakuza, Mafia, street gangs, of course. There will be women involved. Business for them isn't based on gender, it's based on business. So, Mexico is corrupt. Wow. It's corrupted just like the US. Americans too blind to see. Joey Alfaro. Cartel is a shipping company that happens to supply goods and services in a very aggressive manner. This person seems Hispanic. Let's see, what's he going? What? Raul Garcia. I remember seeing this woman every other day in my neighborhood walking. Never would I expect she worked for a cartel. So, um, you know, so the question would be, um, whether or not this is racist to put up a wall on the border, or whether it's needed to put a wall on the border. And according to their own reporting in 2012, it appears as if there is a threat at the border, and there should be something there stopping the drug trade, at least the drugs from coming pouring in the country. Because if there is no body there, or they create some type of tactic to draw the border patrol in one area and then run across on the other area, there's no way for them to stop them without a physical border. Let me know what you think about this. They've called him racist and all of this stuff. I believe that he is racist, but I don't believe this is the reasons why he is racist. This is a straw man attack. That wall should be there, and people should come here legally, and drugs should not be coming through the country south of the border. So tell me what you think. I'm out.